What he does is made by his circumstances, not by him. He is really, in a long chain of causation, he's the last step. He's not the first step. He's not even in the middle. He's trying to cope with 27 pressures coming in at him in different ways. And if I knew more about him, I might make an educated guess which way he's going to go. But I don't. I'm not about to know him. I don't even care very much. I'm interested in the forces and how they are pushing him. Which way he finally goes, I can't know. And it's kind of idle speculation. The reason the German story is important is it gives you some sense of some of the pressures he's under. You've got a working class here that is very shocked. No one prepared them. That's a flaw of this culture, which of course no one is allowed to say. No one prepared them that there is an empire, that the empire is going to decline. Why? Because every empire in the world has. And do you really want to bet that this one won't? And if it might, could it be now? Could we? We cannot have that conversation. We just had a presidential election in which neither candidate said a word like that. Not Trump, not Biden, not Harris, not declining empire. Us? Who? Me? Not at all. They all talk as though we're deciding on doing it. We're the United States and we're making decisions. And look at Mr. Trump. Mr. Trump, in a world in which probably it is fair to say the overwhelming majority of people are coming out of a century or two of colonialism, hating it, wanting it to disappear. Anti-colonialism, anti-imperialism is the ethos of the world at this point. Why would a leader now, even the ethos I just described, having attacked Russia for 3 years relentlessly for taking Ukraine, territory in Ukraine, suddenly become the advocate of taking territory? What the hell? What? But now, wait a minute. Now you do have an answer. When your country is falling apart, one of the ways you hold it together is to go on a crusade. Hitler attacks everybody. It's crazy. How is Germany going to fight Russia, Poland, the West? What are you, nuts? Yeah, afterwards, that's how we talk. But at the time, he's solving problems. Step by step, and his rationale is kind of, if you look at it honestly, I don't like Hitler, obviously. Most of my family was killed by the fellow, not his part. But I understand what he was doing. I understand what Mr. Trump is doing. I think the usefulness of the exercise is to learn something from understanding it, to be more strategically adept at avoiding the worst outcome. Hitler, Trump is no Hitler. I got that. I agree with you about that. But he's under pressures that in one case led in that direction, and there are sure as hell signs that in this case, there are also some of them leading in that direction. Will they be strong enough? Will they engender a counter-reaction? Who knows? Germany, at the time Hitler takes power, had extremely well-organized, very powerful left wing. Half the country were in the socialist or communist parties. These were parties that had armed detachments to fight in the streets, and they were disciplined in many ways, particularly the Communist Party of Germany. Our left is out to lunch. There are no organizations even remotely comparable. Is it therefore easier for fascism to come here in some ways? You bet. You bet. If and when Mr. Trump, he hasn't done it yet, but if and when Mr. Trump were to mobilize his partisans, the Proud Boys, folks like that, put them in a uniform, the way that Hitler did, and have them terrorize anybody who has a meeting to get rid of the un-American, improper ideology. Now it's a Smithsonian. Tomorrow it'll be what? A rally in Times Square? We already are picking up people whose crime seems to have been that they participated in anti-Israel or pro-Palestinian activities at various universities. The universities are caving, giving the names to the police, abetting the whole process. Columbia, beyond words. Okay, those are signs. And I think it is as inappropriate to equate Hitler to Trump as it is not to see that Trump is under very similar pressures and is making some similar moves. That's as much as it's reasonable to say, but it's unreasonable to deny that. I wish it weren't the case. Secretary of State Rubio made a speech yesterday in which he made it clear, I'm boasting. 300 foreign students, that was the number he gave, have been expelled from the United States, have had their visas canceled or withdrawn. People in the middle of their PhD studying such revolutionary topics as, oceanography and so forth. Well, but it turns out that they wrote an article about genocide in Gaza or something like that. Jesus, that's interesting. It's interesting that people who come here and participate in nonviolent, perfectly legal political expression, which is not an excluded activity by anybody, are now being able, and that nothing is happening. Nothing is happening. Very few people saying much about it. The Democratic Party is DOA. It's not even there. Mr. Biden seems to have vanished into thin air. Kamala Harris with him. This is for me, by the way, you're heading into the greatest crisis the Democratic Party has had in a long time. The progressive wing of that party, it cannot continue much longer the way it has. And that's, they may not recover. I can't tell you the number of people that have contacted me talking about new parties, third party. It's off the chart. That doesn't prove or guarantee anything, but it is an interesting phenomenon coming out of this situation. And even the Republican Party may not be able to. You can see senators already over this, what are they calling it? Signal gate, are beginning to split inside the Republicans, because those who see this as another Watergate and they want to get on the right side early, and those who don't want to. But here's the punchline, take us back. These are all signs of a declining empire. That's all of this. All of this. Trump as a phenomena. This is a society that somewhere in some way understands that the convenient oscillation of the last 70 years, a Democrat, a Republican, as president, you do your stint, and you turn it over to the other one, and the same at the Senate, and the same at the House, and it doesn't make all that much difference. It's enough of a difference, little, that half the people don't bother voting. They don't see any point in it. They don't regret it when they don't vote, because we know 2 years later, 4 years later, they don't vote again. All right? This was a very, the Germans have a wonderful word, gemütlich. I don't know how that translates into English. Gemütlich. Pleasant, comfortable, relaxed, tranquil, words like that. Mr. Trump is the end of that. Mr. Trump had nothing. He didn't come up through the ranks. He didn't learn the political game. He wasn't like so many of you. Look at Kamala Harris. She was a DA. She was a senator. She learns. Biden. He was a senator from Delaware. And Bush's world. Mr. Trump comes out of what's his skill? He's good at being a playboy in New York City, going to clubs with his father's money. It's charming, it's fine, okay. But and he's brash, and he says things you're not supposed to, and he acts it. He doesn't fit. That's why he get treated badly, and now he's angry and getting back and revenge against all of it. It's a play. Shakespeare could have written this. It's a play. It's the odd president. But that tells you something. And that is that the system can't go on. That's why when he first starts, he rides down an escalator and tells us all how Mexicans are rapists. What? No politician would do that. That's nuts. But it was the ticket to success. Because everything is different now. And being your reasonable Bush, Clinton is the same old doesn't fly. And by the way, I can assure you, since I'm closer to the Democratic Party than I am, of course, to the Republican, is that among the Democrats that I talk to, they are more troubled than I've ever seen them. They don't know what to do. And I know people pretty high up in that structure. They really don't know what to do. They know that Bernie is kind of out of the pig. He's too old. But they're coming up, lots of them, all over the place. and they understand that if you look at the voting, if you look at the young people particularly, this has got to go. And especially now, if you look at the economic program that Mr. Trump is putting forward, it's nuts. And you can't, I liken it to this. And by now you have a sense of how my head reasons. The best image from Mr. Trump's economic policy is from football. You know what a Hail Mary pass is? That's his policy. His policy is a Hail Mary pass. It's when the game is nearly lost and you've got only enough seconds for one more play. So you tell your receivers, I want you all to go out and go over in the left-hand corner of the field, close to the end zone, but not yet. I'm going to heave the ball there. There's going to be 3 of you and 3 defenders, and you're all going to go for the ball, and it's going to bounce around, and hopefully it'll come down in your hands, and then we win the game. You fall into the end zone, we're done. That's it. That's where we are.
Why is this his economic policy?
Because nothing else left for him. Let's start with tariffs, right? Tariffs is the number one weapon that he's deploying. Tariffs have been in existence for hundreds of years. The United States has used tariffs at various points in its history since it was independent and could do so. So right after the Revolutionary War, we had the power to do, and we have on occasion done tariffs. Okay, number one. Number two, some tariffs were worked out in deals with the rest of the world and have not occasioned a problem because we gave stuff that we could also benefit from. I'll give you an example. In the 1960s, there was a really serious struggle when the United States wanted to levy tariffs on foreign automobiles. Why? Because coming out of World War II, the rebuilding of the German and Japanese economies from World War II destruction led both countries to the same strategy. The best way we can recover from the war is to outdo the number one dominant economy in the world, the United States, and its number one industry at that time, automobiles. If we can't do that, they're going to dominate forever. That's our task, that's our goal, that's our measure of success. Can we produce a better car at a lower price? Enter Volkswagen. By the way, Hitler's project, Volkswagen. Volkswagen in German means the people's car. Toyota, you know them. You know the Japanese. We all know them now. They started to come in. There was the romance of the VW Beetle, the little round one. And the auto companies went crazy. Detroit, which was our auto center at that time, was the dominant success story of American capitalism. When foreign dignitaries came to Washington, the president would fly with them to Detroit to have them look at Dearborn or look at the Ford plant or the GM plant or the Chrysler plant. Look here look at this technology. Look at the workers, how satisfied they are. Look, we got a significant number of black workers here. See, we're overcoming our racial, it was half bullshit, but half genuine, justified. And there was a horror. Our dominance would be undone because the VW was a better car at a cheaper price. And the Japanese came shortly thereafter. And so a deal was struck. Here's it. We're going to put a tariff, but we won't put it on every car. And we'll put it low on regular cars, but you got to give us one thing. We're going to put a fat tariff. And in exchange, you can put a tariff on some of our agricultural products. The Europeans were interested in preserving their agriculture, particularly their chicken production, and Americans are good at making chicken. The chicken is no good, but the cheap price is spectacular. Anyway, long story short, a tariff was attached to the pickup truck, a big one, 25%. Compared to all the other sedan, 2.5%. That tariff has been in effect for half a century. You know why Americans celebrate the pickup truck? Why every He-Man has a pickup truck? Because it's a symbol of masculinity? Not at all. You had to train the American buffoon to want that truck. You know why? Because the profit margin on the truck is way better than the profit margin on a car. And why? Because of the tariff. That's why you don't see very many foreign. The pickup truck that has the name Toyota, that was made here to escape the tariff. It's just, so there's nothing new about it. And therefore there's a literature, many more books than you have on your shelf here about tariffs. It's been it's a segment of every course in international trade ever taught. And I've taught them. The library's full of enormous studies of every tariff there's ever been studies. Did it work? Did it fail? Why did it work? Why did it fail? And here's the conclusion. It'll save you a lot of time. I've done the literature. I've taught the course. We don't know is the answer. The effect of a tariff depends on the context within which it's said. It's a little bit like the phrase, oh shit. The impact of saying, oh shit, loudly in a group of people depends on that group, who they are, what they're used to. They'll either be horrified or they'll give it no notice, right? Depends on, that's what a tariff is. So when the president says, I'm going to do this, I'm going to tariff, it's going to have this result, you're talking to a moron.